Hello, it's Camilla here, and I have come on tonight to talk about potty training. So I have got two great guests joining me, Tess, who is in Sussex and East Sussex, Hastings, and I have got, here she is, there's Tess just joined. So Tess, do you want to just request to join? I think it's the little bottom, the little plus on the bottom. I've also got Claire coming over from Northern Ireland. So here is Tess just going to join us now. She's brilliant. Let me just do view request. Come on. Okay, let me see if I can do it from here. There we go. So Tess should be on any second now, and thank you. And here's Claire. So Claire, we can split the screen. So actually, if you also request to join, and then we can split the screen, but Tess should be coming on. Yes, there she is. I can see a fireplace. Hi there, Tess.
Hiya.
Good to see you. Yeah, I think that Claire should be able. Let me just see if she has requested. One sec. Yes, she's requested there. Brilliant. Okay, so now the screen should split, and Claire should be somewhere. I think there she is. Hi, it all worked. Brilliant. Okay, so we've had quite a few people join us already, and it's just so exciting. Thank you so much. Are your kids in bed? Are they still?
Hopefully.
You've got other halves dealing with it, hopefully.
Yes.
Brilliant. Okay, so I know that you've both had quite different experiences of potty training, and you know what's interesting is quite often there's this sort of rhetoric that the girl is easier than the boys, and in fact you've kind of had a different experience to that. So maybe Tess, I know that you potty trained Theo not that long ago. What, like 4 or 5 months ago would it be, or if even that?
Not even that. It was in April, so I guess that's like 2-3 months ago now.
Okay. Yeah. So I forgot to, when I went live, I forgot to actually put across the top. I think I can put across the top that this talk is about potty training, but I'll probably just dot it in from here to there. So yeah, and so tell me a little bit about Theo and why you felt he was ready, and yeah, what was sort of going on that made you think it was time to go for it?
So it was coming up to the Easter holidays anyway, so the nursery closes down, and I sort of thought Easter would be the best time to do it because I'd have like a good clean window without too much disturbance of our routine. Otherwise I'd have to wait to kind of like our holiday in August, and I really didn't want to do that. So even though he was quite young, he'd only just turned 2 in March.
Yeah, that is.
But he was already showing quite a lot of signs of wanting to use the potty. He's got an older brother. And so he was very used to seeing Edward use the potty. So he kind of knew exactly what to do. And funnily enough, I actually decided to start the potty training. And I tried the first day, and I was a bit silly, really. I like went out with him on a walk, and there were just loads of accidents. Like that was the day after he'd like been naked all day. And then I was kind of just feeling really stressed about stuff anyway. So I thought, actually, you know what? Maybe I'll just like leave it. But he kind of decided for me, because the next day he was sort of adamant that he would not put a pull-up on. He didn't want a nappy at all. So I was kind of like, right, well, let's just go with it. And within a few days he was, you know, we were like actually going out, just not too far, but like in the car, and we went on the train. And he just sort of picked it up like straight away. I mean, obviously we had a few accidents, but overall he was able to tell me that he needed to go.
And so tell us, so you'd obviously read the book. And for those of you that don't know, my book's available on Amazon, Positive potty training, the nurturing parents step by step by. But if you just look up Camilla McGill, it comes straight up. But yeah, so you'd read the book and you'd also done the video course. So what would you say? What were the kind of elements? So for those, because you know, there's this sort of, there's the dream, isn't there? Like, you know, oh, it's just going to be, you know, all really easy. And in a sense, how you're describing it was sort of easier than you thought. But I just wondered if there anything that you could tell listeners, like that there's some of the steps that you took even prior to those naked days.
Yes, so I think what really helped with the book and the course was understanding that with potty training, it doesn't just start at the, you know, actually the physical, getting them to potty train, and kind of putting in like the preparation. And that's the bit that before I was just at a bit of a loss, particularly with Edward. I was like, I don't really even know where to start.
Yes.
And so the course really kind of helped to give me like a kind of a framework, I suppose, to work towards, and kind of, like I said, Theo was already seeing Edward using the potty, so I was able to kind of use that as, you know, preparing him and saying, this is why we use the toilet, like teaching him about his body and why we have to get rid of our waste and all those kind of things. I was able to, so it kind of just actually set it all up, and it gives you more confidence when you actually then go to start, because you already feel like you've kind of got the groundwork put in. And then I think with Edward, I followed a different book with Edward, and it was good, but what I found quite stressful is that there was quite like almost time limits on how long it should be taking for each step. And I found that quite, I suppose because he was my first as well, it was just really a lot of pressure.
Yes.
Whereas this time, I think reading your book, it is a lot more, I felt a lot more laid back about it. And it was kind of like, it will take as long as it takes, but you've got all the tools to know what to do in certain situations.
Yes.
So like recently we've been having a few more accidents. So then it's kind of like you can refer back to the book, and it talks about regression and, you know, how to deal with that and how to cope with it. So yeah.
That's brilliant. I remember when my youngest started nursery, and she really regressed then. And it was just, you know, at that time I was already a parenting coach. So I just made that connection. Okay, new environment, doesn't really know the toilet. It's all very, you know, there's so much going on. They're distracted. You know, I wasn't there obviously, but the teachers are quite distracted. It was big. It was fairly big class, and I was just able to think, you know, and I was presented most days with the little bag with things. And you know, as a parent, you can think, oh my God, you know, this is really bad. And I just had, luckily I was, you know, had the confidence, just especially she was my fourth as well, you know, especially just to think, okay, this is just a blip. And that's what I try and encourage parents to think of with the regression. You know, this is a blip. Let's see if there's any connection. Is it that I've taken my eye off the ball and of forgetting to, you know, give them a few prompts? Is it that there's something else going on? Is it that we're just so busy? Or is it that it happens when they're watching a screen, therefore maybe we need to have a little routine that before they get to watch, they have a try, you know, stuff like that. And it's quite good to just, rather than, or, you know, I think as parents, we can just go to blame ourselves so quickly. Or we can do a kind of dual thing, can't we? We can either just think, oh God, I've just, you know, I've been a bad mom, or we can think there's something wrong with my child, and this is, this isn't right. There's like there's something wrong here, and my whole message is like, no, never blame yourself. Don't, you know, look at what you can do, but don't beat yourself up. And look at the child and think, how can I help, rather than there's something wrong. But Claire, you had quite a different experience with little Ava. Do you want to just tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, I potty trained Ava around the same time. Like she had just turned, or after 2, about 2 and 2 months maybe. And I thought it all went quite well initially. First three, like in 3 days, she really seemed to get it. She was showing all the signs. It all kind of clicked with her. And then about 6 or 8 weeks down the line, she started to still withhold. And I could not understand why. And it just was so illogical, or if that, just I couldn't understand. I couldn't really pinpoint why she was doing it. There didn't seem to be a fear of sitting on the toilet or a fear of seeing her poo or anything like that. And I was like, I've never heard of this. I didn't know that this was even a thing. And like speaking to my mum and stuff, she was like, no, Ian's done that. I've never heard of this, Claire. This is so bizarre. And it was so distressing for her. It actually broke my heart watching her. At its worst, she held her poo in for a full week. Wow. And then I had to get her. Yeah, I could only describe it as insane. And she was so distressed. She would have ran around holding her bum, sitting on things, just doing everything to try and hold it in. And then obviously the urge would pass, and then it would come on again a while later, and it would just back and forth. And that went on for months, to be honest. And I had to get her laxatives then to try and help with things. Things got slightly better, or a good bit better really, and she started to get it. And then her baby sister came along, and things just went. And then that's whenever I sought Camilla's help, because it really got really, really bad then again. And I suppose Camilla had a totally different approach to potty training that I did not take with my, I got the potty and got her a special seat for the toilet and everything, but the whole positive approach, and that was all new, teaching her about her body. All of that was completely new. It never really dawned on me, to be honest, to tell her those things, or to teach her about, food waste. And we bought a lot of books at that time, and there's a lot of books out there. I didn't really realize there was just so much books out there about, little children holding in their poos and how they do it, and fear and things. And Ava is still very much a work in progress, but we use the toilet most days now, which is a night and day difference for her, I think, at home. But we have to work towards her going to creche or to play school now, and using it there, because I think that's going to be a huge thing for her. She goes to creche one day a week and just doesn't use the toilet there. She will pee, but doesn't do her poos there.
Which is not uncommon, actually, for kids. I mean, I think my kids I don't think I ever pooed at school, ever.
Yeah.
And there would be that kind of rush on the way home.
Yeah.
So I definitely think it's not uncommon, but it's, we want, I'm sure if they needed to, they wouldn't have been frightened. That's the difference. And I think what was really lovely about your story, Claire, was those moments when you just decided to hand over the responsibility to her. And it's quite a big thing when you do that, because, you just sort of think, is this going to make it worse if I just let her decide? Yeah. And I know from working with you and the things that you've told me that actually for her that's really worked.
Completely.
Do you want to just tell us a little bit about that?
Eva needs the control, and it is. I think I've sort of came to the conclusion that this gets worse with Eva if there's change. If I go away or there's a change in routine, it's her thing. That's her, like, what she can control. But we would tell her, listen to your body. Like, again, I didn't really think to ever say those things to her, but saying things like that, and you can hear her saying, my body's telling me now, Mommy, I need to do it. When she'd run past, she'd be like, my body's telling me I need to do this, Mommy, and just run off. And it's crazy that she has that awareness or that perception, because I didn't really think she would have. But, no, it's now she still will ask. She's like, can I get a marshmallow now, or can I get a treat afterwards? Which I'm absolutely fine with. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. We tried everything at the beginning. It was bribing her, it was getting angry. There was days it was me and her in tears, both of us, and it was so distressing, and I just could not understand. I still probably don't really understand it, but
they're really complex. And I think you've raised a good point about the reward thing. Because, my view is, don't offer the reward as an in order to. Because what you find is that they're then just after the reward, if they, and they're not listening to their body. So if they, they might just do a little tinkle to get the marshmallow, or they sit there, nothing comes out, and then you sort of think, well, I can't really give the marshmallow, so do I, and then there's a sense of failure, which we don't want to happen either. But I, what I've always said to you is, she's kind of validating herself for having achieved something, and she's after a little treat as that validation. And I would say, just go with it. Like, I don't have like hard and fast rules for parents, like never do this, never do that, because I think it's such a hard job anyway. But the one thing I would say is just, avoid setting it up that you're going to get this when you get that, when you do that, and particularly because it's a body function. But she's obviously really pleased with herself, and for her it's been such a big thing to hold in your poo for nearly a week, and the pain of it, and the pain for you to observe her doing that. And like you say, the kind of is so illogical, like why would you do that? But I think there are just times, and I know you've had this, Tess, in different situations with your kids, but there are times when things just don't make sense. They do,
like every day.
I think they are illogical beings, so they are
just illogical. And also it's like that kind of shooting yourself in the foot sort of doesn't make sense, but they're figuring things out, and they are strong-willed, and I think what parents will often find, that it's quite nice that I'll turn it round, and instead of stubborn, I'll say, they've got strong determination. And you're like, okay, that's quite a good thing, actually. To know their own mind, that's not so bad. I kind of want, an older child to know their own mind, and just maybe say no to things that everyone else is doing. And so, yeah. And Tess, as you're hearing this, is there anything else that, like, just in terms of either the potty training or just this approach that we're talking about, anything that springs to mind as you were listening to that?
I think just that everyone goes through some sort of issue with potty training, and and I think what the book sort of teaches as well is it's not just this rite of passage that you go through when they're training. It's like it lasts for probably years. I mean, when you think about it, and you're really teaching them a life skill. So if it's not like them learning to walk or them learning to crawl. It's something that we have to teach them. It's like a social construct, isn't it, really?
Yes.
Before we evolved, we probably just pooed wherever.
Yes.
Where it's like that kind of social etiquette, and I think that kind of getting them to like take responsibility for their own body is really important in lots of ways as well. Whereas I mean, when I first started, I kind of got the potty and would just have it in the room with Edward, like that's my older one, and he'd use it sometimes, but I think the point was I wasn't actually teaching him why he needed to use it, and I think that's the point. And also, like what you said about the rewards, like I personally never used the rewards, because I sort of thought you couldn't really be rewarded for just performing bodily function. And like going from what you said, you don't want them to just, knowing my kids, they'd literally go and use the potty just to try and get something.
Yes.
So I don't feel like it would have worked for me anyway, just because of what they're like. But I mean, the book's brilliant, and having the book on your bookshelf to then be able to go and refer to, like at the moment we are having like a bit of regression, and you do kind of get that sense of like, I thought we'd got past this, I thought we'd like made progress, I don't understand what's happened. And you can kind of refer back to the book, and there's just some like really good tips in there to understand what to do next. So I think my biggest message would be, it's not a sort of a quick thing that they learn, even if it takes them like a couple of weeks to master, they're then still going to have like these regressions. They're still going to have, you know, and then it's like moving from the potty to the toilet and all of that kind of goes with it. So
yes, and
I
other
think
things like, I know Claire, Eva's got a fear of the hand dryers.
Yeah, completely.
And, you know, so there's extra bits that you don't think about.
In any public toilet, she will ask, and you'll see her scanning around. She goes, "Is there a hand dryer, Mummy? Is there a hand dryer?" And she's a complete fear of them. I don't know where that came from either, because she loved white noise whenever she was a baby. So I actually don't know.
Isn't it?
Yeah, but saying that, my eldest still doesn't like hand dryers, and he's like 4. And Theo absolutely loves them. Like, he finds them hilarious.
Yeah.
And both of them are okay with going to the toilet in public, but not in public, going to a public toilet.
Yes.
But I mean, it was quite a struggle both times, like at the beginning, because I think it's the fear of like a huge toilet with no like insert, like, 'cause I didn't like carry one around with me. So then you're having to like hold them over the toilet, and they both were kind of like, oh, I don't really like this.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think even as adults, like, you know, you really only go to the toilet when you're out if you really, really need to. Like, I don't really, you know, make a habit of it. Like if I'm at the supermarket.
Actually, I was going to ask you something. Do yours, would they do a wee outside? Will they like, obviously you've got boys.
Oh God, yeah, they prefer to do that, to be honest.
Outside. And what about Ava? Will she, or have you had that opportunity?
No. No, that's, I remember we tried one day because we didn't have a car potty with us, and she just was like, no way.
You didn't want to do it.
And then we got the ladybird potty, and it actually has become another sort of safe place for her.
Okay.
To do her poos. She was up at the hospital last week and needed a urine sample, and I had to bring in the potty, the travel potty, because she wouldn't use the toilet in the hospital.
Yes.
So, but it worked. I you know, it was fine. But
yeah. And I guess again, this sort of that whole thing of know your child, and we're always sort of stretching them a bit, but not throwing them in the deep end. So, you know, to bring the ladybird potty, and so she can do a wee elsewhere, but it's in that safe thing. That works for her. You know, for you, Chess, you wouldn't make Edward use the hand dryer. No. That he's scared of it. Actually, I had a look because I knew that you told me, Claire, about the hand dryer. I wondered if you've ever tried with a hairdryer at home.
She's completely fine. She lets me blow dry her hair. I do not understand. I don't understand at all. She actually loves sitting and getting her hair done. Like a princess.
And have you ever like done it as a pretend dryer? You know,
no, I actually, when I was drying her hair today and I thought about that, I was like, I should tell her this is just what the noise that the hand dryer makes.
The same thing. Yeah. I wonder, because sometimes that kind of thing can work with them, you know, having them just test stuff out at home. And then
I wonder if it's more the shock, because they can just kind of come on like,
I think it
without
is the fear of that you've been in the room and nobody's really been near it, and then out of nowhere this.
And
some of them can be really, really loud.
And they can just come on like it's like you're not even really near them, and then it's just suddenly like on. You know, you can kind of get why they'd be a bit freaked out.
Right, yes, because you can just brush past with your shoulder and it'll go on. And Tess, I know Edward's starting school in September, and actually that's another extra layer of complexity for the toilet. And you might want to teach him in one really good thing, because he's been used to being in a fairly small nursery, right? So and he'll be in the class of 30-ish, or maybe.
Yeah, well, there's actually only 24 of them, but there could be up to 30.
So teaching them how to ask to go to the toilet is actually, we don't think about this, but you know, it's really intimidating, especially the first couple of weeks where they don't know the teacher that well, and nerves can trigger. I mean, I remember myself having so many accidents when I was in the first year of school. I'd like look around my chair and there was a puddle, and I hadn't even known I'd done it. And of course, you know, my mum, I've got a funny shadow. My mum would never have thought to teach me this stuff, but you know, doing a little role play of please can I go to the toilet? And you know, having them just decide whether they want the door shut or open, whether they want to go with a friend or not. There's quite a lot of the hand washing, properly, you know, wiping themselves if they haven't quite been used to that. So there's some quite good stuff to go over with them. And just talking about the fact that they may wet themselves, and it's totally fine if they do, because it's just to do with the fact that there's so much going on that we forget to notice our body signals.
It's a really good point, actually. That's actually prompted me to think of having those conversations. I was going to pack some spare clothes for him anyway. We were kind of told about that, but I never thought about having that sort of conversation. So I'll definitely chat to him about that, because I think he's so confident with, like, if he needs to go, he'll go, but actually in a new environment where he's not sure about the people, will he have the confidence just to go off and find the loo? Because they do have, luckily, the reception class have their own toilets that they are allowed to just go and use when they need to. But obviously, even if they can do that and they've been shown where they are, if it's like a new environment, new school, and you know, taking everything else in. So I'll thanks for that. I'll have that chat with him.
Brilliant. Well, girls, thank you so much for joining me. I know, you know, such different experiences, and yet, you know, having got help and used an approach that you hadn't really considered or thought of, and found that it was so helpful. You know, I just makes me such a great feeling too, and also for your little ones. You know, I love children so much, and just to think that they are now much more confident. You kind of got your antennae up for them and watching out for stuff that you can support them with and help them with. So, you know, it's brilliant. And I meant to, just as I'm sitting here, I'm thinking, oh no, I forgot. So I've got a workshop that it's called The 3 Secrets to Stress-Free Potty Training. And I'm going to be running that next Thursday evening. You need to sign up, but I forgot to put the link in my bio. So I will be putting that up. I will be posting about it. So if you are with me now, you could always message me. Just send me a DM and then I'll send you the link direct. But it'll be on Zoom. It's $19.95 to join, a really good little investment, and you'll get lots from it. So the 3 Secrets to Stress-Free Potty Training. And do get my book in the meantime. That's on Amazon. So have a wonderful evening, you two, and no doubt we'll be in touch soon. But thank you.
Bye.
Take care.
You're welcome.
Bye.
You too. Bye, Camilla. Bye, everyone.
Bye.